Flosstube, welcome back to Bumble Stitches. My name's Nicola. It's my 4th Flosstube episode and I'm really happy to be back to share everything that I've been up to in the last couple of weeks with you, and I hope you've all been keeping well. It's a lovely bright day here again today in the east of England, and it's not rained for a few days, which is good because I managed to catch up with a few jobs outside. I've also, probably like everybody that's got Netflix, been absolutely binging on The Crown on Netflix, which I'm really sad is over now for me. I've managed to watch them all in a few days. I tried to ration it out a little bit, but I couldn't resist and just sat and stitched and just watched the whole thing, which I thought was amazing. So sadly now I have to wait another year, I'm guessing, for the next season. But of course, while I was sitting watching that, I was also quietly stressing about the fact that we're just over a month away from Christmas now, and there's so much still that I need to do. And of course, with us being in lockdown until the beginning of December here in England, it's a little bit uncertain still as to what's going to happen, if we are going to be all free to have family over for Christmas. So I'm just keeping fingers crossed that it is. And in the meantime, yeah, just carrying on as normal, really, or as near to normal as you can. So I've been doing lots of stitching, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. I do have a finished object to share with you today. It's not fully finished, but it's something that I showed on, I think, my first Flosstube video, and it's this piece here, which is by Hands On Design, and it's called I Love My Stitching. So I'll just show you there, I'll just pop that down for a second. So this is the cover of the chart. You can see it's a Hands On Design pattern, and it's in collaboration with So Much to Love, because they give you the chart for the stitched piece and also the pattern on how to make the bag. Now, as you could see, I haven't actually made the bag yet. I've just got the stitched piece all done. And I stitched this on a 28 count Monaco, white Monaco. And I used just threads from my stash. I had some fabric that I'd bought, which I'll show you in a sec, to make the bag with. And I chose the floss colours. They're all just DMC floss colours that I had in stash to match the fabric that I'm going to use. I did make a couple of changes to the chart. I didn't, if I sort of hold this here, you can see the pattern calls for a sort of like this running stitch design at the sides, which I've left off because I was just worried about them getting lost when I'm doing, like, making the bag up, and them getting lost sort of in the seam. So I thought if I left them off, it was better than having a little bit sort of peeping out if the seam sort of went over it. The other thing I did is this section here where there's the scissor fob and it says Love My Stitching. I swapped that out and just put my name in. I used this little scissor motif here and just popped it in here with red handles and my name, and just filled the gap at the end with these couple of little hearts. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It's all good to go, it's all ready to sew, and I'll show you the fabrics that I'm going to make it into a bag with, which I've got here handily. Okay, so these are all fabrics by Laurie Holt. So I'm going to use this one for the main body of the bag on the front. So I'm going to try and let's see if we can do a mock-up without me dropping everything on the floor. I'll just lay that across there. Just bear with me a sec. And I've got some nice large, well, I've got two lots of rickrack. I've got the large red. So we'll be looking at something like that for the bag, if you get the idea by me holding that up. So that'll be the front of the bag with the stitched piece on. But I've also got this rickrack, which is the same colour as the fabric, but a bit smaller. So I'm not sure whether to put the large rickrack or the smaller rickrack between the stitch piece and the fabric. On the pattern, it shows you the large rickrack, but I don't know if it will be a little bit bulky. I might have to wait till I've got it all the fabrics pinned together and see which I think will work better. If you think one will look better than the other, do let me know in the comments if you think the large red rickrack or the small aqua coloured rickrack would be better. Yeah, so that will be for the outside. Then for the lining of the bag, I have this. Again, it's a Laurie Holt, one of her bee backgrounds, I think. Sort of a low volume for the inside lining of the bag. And for the back, I've got this gorgeous, it's one of my favourite Laurie Holt fabrics that I'm going to use for the back. I could actually use it for the front as well, but the reason I was going to use it for the back is that I can pop it on the back because it's like one just big square piece of fabric, put some batting underneath, and I can just free motion along these lines and quilt it so that it actually looks like it's a proper sort of like pieced quilt that's on the back of the bag. So I'm really excited to make that up, and I will try and get it done in the next couple of weeks so I can share it with you on my next Flosstube. So yeah, it's come out really well. I'm pleased with the colours because I'm not really a sort of person to play around with colour changes too much on a cross stitch chart. I'm normally sort of follow the directions because I'm not very good at pulling colours together. So I was pleased that this one worked out well, and I hope it works out really nicely as a bag. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that I do get it done and share it with you. Okay, I'll pop that away because in true Nicola fashion, I have already, after just being here for a few moments, have made a big mess of fabrics. But I did have a massive clear up in my sewing room a couple of days ago, and it was in a bit of a state. There was half finished objects, sewing projects and all sorts of things that were just not in their right places. And that makes me feel less inclined to go and sit in there and actually do any sewing. I like to have everything sort of tidy and ordered before I start a project. So I did all that, and of course, like anyone that's got a considerable stash of crafty items, you do forget what you've got and you find things, and it's a little bit like a mini shopping trip to find some things that you didn't realise you had or you've forgotten that you had. And I've got something that I'll show you when I do my haul later that I found, which is going to be perfect for this time of year. Okay, let's move on to what I've actually been stitching on in the last couple of weeks after I finished off my I Love My Stitching piece. So you're going to get the feeling now that the project bag thing is going strong at the moment. I wanted some nice bags to put my projects in, and particularly Christmassy ones. So I made this bag, which I'm really pleased with. I put this fun giant sort of snowball pom-pom trim on, and I actually got these fabrics here from a D-stash on Instagram. Somebody was having a D-stash of quilting fabrics, so it's just the same design on the back, and inside is just a red with a small white polka dot. So I thought it was really fun. I thought it was nice just to put the pom-poms on. I did actually sew those on afterwards, so I thought they would get in the way of actually sewing the seams, because they are quite, you can see they are quite chunky pom-poms. And I used a tutorial. I mean, I've made lots of project bags before, but not this style with the flat sort of zip on the front. And I wanted it to be fully lined. So I used a tutorial by, I just checked my notes, by Primitive Stitcher. She's got a Flosstube channel, and I used a tutorial that she's got on YouTube. I'll put a link down below. It's very, very detailed. So if you are a complete beginner sewer, she takes you through every aspect of making a bag like this design of bag for your stitching projects. And it's about an hour and a half long, so it's really, really detailed. If you need to be walked through every single step, it's absolutely perfect. And if you're a little bit more experienced, I wouldn't say I was an experienced sewer, probably intermediate, but if you're sort of got a bit of sewing knowledge, you can always skip through to the bits that are more pertinent to what you need to know. Like for instance, I wasn't quite sure how to do the lining on this, so I just sort of skipped through to that section and got all the answers that I needed. So I would highly recommend that tutorial to you. Right, so enough waving the bag about. This bag is holding one of my new starts, which is a Christmas start, which is here. And this is warm, what's it called? It is called Christmas Wishes, and it's by Little Dove Design. And if you have been watching some of my other videos, you would have seen the Halloween piece that I did on the long, narrow sort of house wooden piece that I mounted it on and finished it with. And this is exactly the same dimensions. So the plan is, now that the Halloween one is off, I will get this stitched up and finish it on that piece. So you can see I've made a bit of a start. Got the cute Rudolph. He'll have some back stitch to, which will be like his reins to pull the sleigh with. And these would be baubles with some back stitch that they'd be hanging from. So really, really enjoying that. I'm stitching, I nearly said knitting. I'm stitching this on a 28 count Monaco, and I'm using all the called for DMC. Let me just show you the pattern. So you can see I'm at the top there. There's quite a bit of stitching to go. Because it's long and thin, it doesn't take long to sort of fill a section across, and you feel like you've achieved something to keep moving on to the next section. As I mentioned, I am using all the called for DMC. I think there may have been a couple that I had to substitute flosses with some anchor threads that I had from ages ago. So really enjoying doing that. Whether or not it will be finished in time to get it fully finished for Christmas, who knows. It may do. I'm kind of going for it to see if I can get it done in time, but if I don't, then it will be something nice to look forward to for next year. And I'm really, really enjoying stitching on it. And I'm being a good girl and actually putting this one away rather than making a big pile of mess. Okay, the next whip. So I've been mainly focusing on a couple of Christmas pieces and doing those sort of during the week, along with any other sort of sewing that I wanted to do, and doing my All Creatures Great and Small at the weekends. And it's kind of working out okay at the moment. I'll probably have a bit of a shuffle about later, but for now it is working out okay. I made another project bag, again using the tutorial by Primitive Stitcher, but this time I wanted to do a patchwork. I've long been an admirer of Christy from Crosshatch Quilt's beautiful project bags that she sells. I think my chances of ever being quick enough to grab one are highly remote. So I made a patchwork front on this one and just did, it's not actually quilted, I just did some sort of faux quilting on the front. It's just got interlining in it so that it's got a bit of body to it, and just the same on the back. Nice turquoise zip, got to have a fancy zip, and it's the same lining inside as the other one, so just a nice red spotty lining. So these bags are my practice pieces really, I'm guessing, to get ready for finishing off the stitched piece one. So now I've got a bit of confidence in doing this style of bag. Right, so my whip in here, quite a small start, just sort of 2.5 Santa heads. And this is the Merry Chalkfall design, and it's a hands-on design pattern, which I showed you a couple of weeks ago in my haul. And the artwork is from chalk art, originally done by Priscilla Blaine of the Stitching with the Housewives Flosstube. I'm sure you don't need me to explain who Priscilla Blaine is. But I thought this was so cute with all the little Santas in the mason jar. And I really love the little small as well, the little small pillow. So I'm hoping to do that as well. I'm doing this, stitching this piece on a 32 count linen, slate linen. And because of the colour of it and the fact that it's linen and not an even weave, I do have to use my magnifier for this one, which slows me down a little bit, but I'm getting more accustomed to stitching that way. So I'm hoping to get some more of these little guys done and see if I can get a finish on this one. Although I don't have a piece to finish it on yet, so I have to, when the shops are open again, see if I can find something. And this is all with the called for flosses, and these are all classic Colourworks flosses that I'm using here. And you'll notice I have got a little thread bling. I'll tell you a little bit about that and some others in a moment. So I'm really enjoying doing a little bit of Christmas stitching. It's kind of getting me into that mood, ready for yeah, as I said, hopefully a normal Christmas. But yeah, I should get the decorations up soon. I think I'll probably put the Christmas tree up hopefully next weekend, or yeah, probably next weekend, or certainly the first full weekend of December. I'd like to get the decorations up and you know, just start to get a little bit more festive around the house. And if I've got some stitch pieces to go with it all, then that will be, I'll be a very happy bunny. My next whip is All Creatures Great and Small by Barbara Anna Designs, and I've been stitching this piece at weekends now. I've decided that it's going to be my weekend stitch in an attempt to try and sort of get through it, 'cause it's quite a big piece. Well, it's a big piece for me and not a huge amount of progress, but we have got some progress. I finished off the barn from last time I showed it to you and did this urn with the vine and the flowers there, and the moon and this little guy, which I think is a hare. So really enjoying stitching on that still. This is the fabric that I mentioned before. It's a 32 count Murano even weave, and I dyed it with walnut crystals, and it does show much more mottled in this light, particularly the camera picks it up much more, but it's quite, the colour sort of transitions are quite subtle in reality. So I'm really enjoying stitching on that. This is, I'll show you the pattern, you're probably all familiar with it. So it's this one, so you can see it's a huge piece, and I am sort of over here doing this sort of section over here. So I've got this lovely cow to do next, and the pig. Looking forward to that. And I'm not sure after that whether to keep going downwards or to make my way across. I guess I'll decide, but of course I still have to do the border, which, oh, borders are really not my thing. But it's a lovely design and I am enjoying stitching on it. These are all DMC threads that I'm using for this one. I managed to keep these remarkably tidy actually. I'm making a conscious effort every time I stitch on it to make sure I keep the threads tidy afterwards, as they would end up in a huge tangle. And I was watching Brenda and Laura of Brenda and the Serial Starter, I've gone back to the beginning and started watching all their Flosstubes, and my mind was blown when Laura showed how to pull one strand of floss from your thread drop with your needle, and it was just like, it's the small things, isn't it, that really make a difference to your hobby. Because formerly I was taking all the threads off, taking 1/6 strand off, and then pulling a strand from that, and so on and so forth. But how much tidier I can keep these now that I'm just pulling one thread off as I need it, and that gives me a lot of pleasure to see them all sitting neatly on the ring without any sort of stragglers. So that's my All Creatures Great and Small. Right, pop that one away. I'm going to move on to some happy happy mail or stitchy kindness? It was both. It really was. It was very happy mail and it was very stitchy kindness, or you know what I'm trying to say. In my last episode, I showed you a bag that I'd made that was the Union Jack project bag that I'd blatantly copied from Linda of Needlework from the Beehives design. And Linda got in touch with me after she saw it on my Flosstube, and we got chatting, and Linda explained that her Etsy shop isn't going anymore, but she might be selling some floss rings on Instagram at some point. So I'll pop her details on the screen for you. I'm not sure she's doing that just yet, but you can keep an eye out in future and I can let you know when that happens. But she did send me some beautiful floss rings for my threads. I have had these on my threads, but I took them off so I could show you all in one place. So the first one is this really cute little boy with his dog, and quite patriotic too. I like that. There's not enough, in my opinion, and obviously it's only my opinion, there's not enough patriotism in this country, and it's really nice to see little things like that. The next one is, this is a good one because it's Britannia and Uncle Sam. So I've got something in mind for that one. And this little one here is the children, little Victorian children building a snowman. And this has got they've all got little charms on. This has got scissors. I think this one's got a pin, a little safety pin. And the first one has got some tiny stalk scissors on. Aren't they beautiful? So I will let you know if Linda starts selling those. She also sent me a lovely little card, beautiful little handwritten note. And this is from, the card is beautiful. It's from a company called The Stitchery, which is owned by Nikki Franklin. She's on Instagram, and the Stitchery has its own website. And I've got something to show you a bit later on that's from The Stitchery, so I will pop all the details down below. But thank you, Linda, that was really kind. I was really thrilled to receive those thread drops. They are so pretty, and I'm really enjoying seeing them on my threads when I do my stitching. Okay, what's next? I guess we need to speak about haul, don't we? I have got a few things to show you. First thing I'd like to show you is an item that I thought might be ideal for some for a finishing piece. So I got this pattern last time from Stitching with the Housewives from their Let It Snow range, and I got it as a PDF from their Etsy store. And you can see Priscilla's finished it on a cocoa tin. Looks really, really cute. So I'm always moaning that we don't have enough really nice places to get finishing items in this country. We don't have sort of Hobby Lobby and Michael's and places like that. So I'm always on the lookout in other places where I might find something a little bit you know, unexpected that I can use as finishing piece. So I was in Marks and Spencer's doing some shopping, grocery shopping, and they had these tins. So you can see it's like a house, really, really sweet. It's got shortbread in, which I love, and it's also musical. There's a little thing here, and I think it plays We Wish You a Merry Christmas. It tried to start then, didn't it? I'm not going to start it off because then it will just be tinkling away in the background and probably drive everybody mad. But I thought it might be quite nice to use this to finish this piece. I thought it might look quite cute. I think these finish up about 3 by 4 inches, so it would fit on there really, really nicely. And if it doesn't work out, well, there's lovely shortbread biscuits in here, so it's not going to be a loser, is it? Whatever happens. So if you're in the UK, or if you're anywhere where there are Marks and Spencer food halls, then you can have a look out for these. They had different colours. They had this red. I think there may have been a green. I can't remember the other colour. But they were £5 and you get the biscuits. So I thought it was a bit of a no-brainer, really. So I'm looking forward to having a go of that. And actual haul. You'll be pleased to hear I've managed to secure another couple of Blackbird Designs Anniversaries of the Heart patterns. I mentioned this quite a bit in my last episode. I'm going to be doing them. The series is 12 patterns, 2 of which have bonus charts. So in the end you have 14 charts, and you can stitch them obviously individually, or you can stitch them as one big piece. And I'm going to do it as one big piece. So I've now got number 6, which is Happy Birthday. So pretty with the blossoms on the trees, and of course the house and the lovely little birds. And I also got number 7, which is Swan Lake. I think this is one of my favourites. It's quite simple, but I think it's stunning with the swans. So this is one of the charts that has the bonus chart in it as well. So on the back it shows you the bonus, which is the alphabet sampler. And on each pattern that you buy, it has inside, I don't know if I can show you, I can't really, if I put something else over the front of it, I might be able to show you. Just bear with me 1 second. So if I do that, okay, that works. You can see they give you a layout of where you would put each one and each bonus chart if you're laying them out and stitching them as one piece. So, and that seems to have been on every pattern so far. It has got all this information in it, so that's really, really useful. I've got a piece of fabric on order. It hasn't arrived yet. I'll show it to you next time. Hopefully it's arrived by then. I'm doing it on a 32 count. I think I'm pretty sure it calls for a 30 count. Yeah, it calls for 30 count Old Town Blend by R&R Reproductions, but I've had no luck finding that anywhere online. In actual fact, and I'm sure everyone's finding this, when you're looking for specific things, fabrics and threads, so many places are out of stock, and I know it's because of the pandemic, and it is what it is, but because I'm a relatively new, back to cross stitching, of course I want all the things and they aren't out there, and it is a little bit frustrating, but I hope the fabric that I've got on order is going to be perfect for this series, and I'm hoping to start in January. I know that Linda from Needlework from the Beehive, she mentioned that she'd be interested in doing a sort of a stitch along next year, and also the ladies from the Flosstube, Rachel and Sue. Rachel got in touch with me after my last video, and we were chatting about doing it as a stitch along, hopefully in January, but obviously, as I said, it's difficult to get some of the supplies together that you need and get it all kitted up. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, and hopefully in the new year we will all be starting Anniversaries of the Heart as a stitch along. Right, talking of stitch alongs, the next thing that I'm thinking of, and I'm already jumping ahead to 2021, is a Laurie Holt stitch along that's been hosted by Fat Quarter Shop Flosstube, and it's this pattern. I might have to take it out of the plastic. It's called Sew by Row, and if you watch Fat Quarter Shop Flosstube you will have seen this. Some of these Ziploc bags are actually quite snug, aren't they? Okay, so this is the pattern. I thought it would be really cute to keep in my sewing room, especially if I can manage to keep it tidy. And I think the sew along starts on, or the stitch along starts on the 6th of January, I think. But I know the information is on the Fat Quarter Shop blog, and I believe it's going to be done in sort of rows. Yeah, and I really like the pattern. I think it's going to be fun. I've got everything ready to kit this up. I'm using the called for fabric, which is a 25 count white Lugana. I picked this up on, did I get it on Amazon? I can't remember, but if you Google it, it's quite easy to pick up. I know Laurie Holt does her version of this, but I couldn't get that readily here in the UK. So yeah, Zweigart Lugana in white, 25 count, and that is what the model is stitched on for this. I'm using the DMC threads, and I think they give you options for DMC and Weeks Dye Works, although the model was stitched in DMC. And I bought the threads. There's one that I need, which is a yellow, which was out of stock. So I've got them ready to go. And I also got, and I got this from So Hot UK, I bought this little cute Laurie Holt thread, what's it called? The Beekeeper Thread Minder and Thread Guide set. So how cute is that? So I'm going to put all my threads on there, and it comes with little cards, so each hole is numbered, and then you write the colours of your flossies on a card, and there's quite a few cards in there so you can use it over and over. But I thought that would be really sweet, and the plan is that when I have completed my I Love Stitching bag, that the whole project can live in there, so I'm very excited about that. A little hoop. I purchased a new hoop. This is a Nerge hoop. Is it Nerge or Nerga? I don't know. I think it's a German brand, and I've heard really good reports on these. Very nice quality. I have given it a little bit of a test drive and it performed very well. I bought this on Etsy. I can't remember the name of the shop off the top of my head, but I will pop it either on the bottom of the screen or in the description box below. So that was another, but that's a necessity, isn't it? That's a tool. Okay, so there were no more purchases, but as I mentioned, I did do some extreme tidying in my craft room and found some little gems that I'm going to share with you now, which I might make a start on before Christmas, because I haven't got enough to do already, have I really? I mentioned the Stitchery by Nikki Franklin, and Nikki does the most beautiful, let's move this, the most beautiful stitching kits, and you can see this one is the Christmas carols. Now this is not cross stitch, this is embroidery, but it's so pretty. I've done a little bit of embroidery in the past. I'm not very accomplished at it, but I'm always willing to have another try. And this is such a pretty design. You can see the children and the Christmas tree. It's just a really lovely, sweet little design. So let's have a little look. Now, I did look at this when I first bought it, but that was probably over a year ago. And since then, it's just been in the craft room. So I thought I wouldn't have another look at it. I wouldn't have another look until I was on Flosstube with you, so we could have a look together. So let's just get that piece off there. Okay. So open it out, beautifully presented. And inside we have got the flosses. And look, all organised. I love these colours. Really, really love these colours. So I don't know if Nikki still has this actual kit in her shop, but I'm sure she does have lots of other beautiful kits in her shop. And then there is a piece of fabric which has got the design on, just enough that you can find your way around the design. And this, I think it's like a vintage sort of linen. It's really soft and beautiful. And then there is a stitching guide. Yeah, a really nice sort of detailed stitching guide, and you can see the pattern on there a little bit more. So how gorgeous is that? I thought that would be such a pretty little piece to stitch up either over Christmas or in the run up to Christmas. And I also came across another Nikki Franklin design that I got last year, and this, it wasn't a kit as such. This was Christmas sweater day, and you can see these adorable gingerbread men that are embroidered, and Nikki does a lot of technique with painting on the linen, So I think the bodies of the gingerbread men and women are painted onto the linen. I think she uses like a watercolour technique, and the rest is with embroidery. And if I remember rightly, this was a free pattern. Again, I don't know if it'll still be up, or it was a charity event for Save the Children, the Save the Children charity, and they have a Christmas sweater charity day. And I can remember this in previous years, where you wear a Christmas jumper to work or school or wherever you're going, and you donate some money to Save the Children. It's just a really good fundraiser. But Nikki did you could get the pattern if you made a donation to Save the Children. So I got that. And then again, this is all from memory, I went on I can't speak today, I went on her site and bought the thread pack. Obviously you didn't have to do that, you could just, use your own threads, but they were so pretty. So I bought the thread pack and also the printed, again, really soft, vintagey linen with just it's not a really hard outline, but it's enough that you can see where you need to be starting your embroidery. So I thought it'd be nice to share those with you, because it's like having new stash, isn't it? It's like a haul that I didn't have to pay for. Well, I did, but last year, so essentially it's free. I wanted to also mention to you that I have been obviously watching lots of Flosstube when I wasn't watching The Crown, and there's a Flosstube that I stumbled across because YouTube does that thing where it recommends people to you, doesn't it? And I've made a note of Alyssa Jones. Now Alyssa is, she's in the US, I'm not quite sure where in the US. She's got 2 Flosstube episodes out already, and she's a teacher, and I think she's also doing a master's. Very smart cookie, and she stitches to relax, and she has some beautiful whips she was sharing in her 2 videos so far, some Halloween and Christmas things, and her stitching is beautiful, and she is really a joy to watch. So I would heartily recommend that you go over and give her some support to get her Flosstube up and running, and check her out. I think that's probably, I'm just checking on my notes to make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to speak with you about today, but I think I've reached the end, and that can only mean one thing, which is tidy up time, and hopefully settle down for the afternoon and get stitching on my All Creatures Great and Small. So I wish you all a lovely couple of weeks until I see you again. All you stitchy friends in the US, I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving next week, and take care of yourselves, and I will see you soon. Bye.